Allie with PotomacBeads, and today's Better Beader episode we are going to talk about head pins and ear wires. So head pins and ear wires are used by pretty much everyone in the jewelry making industry if you want to have dangly earrings or even stud earrings. And when talking about head pins and ear wires, there's a number of different kinds, a number of different selections, some things that you may not know about gauges and different sizes and different lengths. So I just thought we'd go over all of these in detail so that way we can clear up any confusion and make your shopping experience and your building experience, the creativity process, much easier. So we are going to start discussing post earrings, whether or not that's something like a glue-on post that we have here in surgical steel. I had used these in the princess earrings. They're going to have a flat back and you're going to attach something to the front of them. You may even have a ball post or a fancy post like this dogwood flower in gold. Some of these you can wear just as they are. I actually have a pair that I don't have anything on the loop of, and I just wear them plain on my ear because I think they're so cute. But you can also have different types of post earrings. The post earring is going to refer to an actual post going through your ear. Think of the post earring, whether or not it has a 3mm ball, 4mm ball, a fancy design, or a rectangle, as something that's going straight through the ear and requires a back to it. So think about a post as something that actually goes through the ear, almost like a pin back, and has a earring back on it. This is going to classify it as a post earring. Again, some of these post earrings will then become dangles as you attach something to the loops on them, or maybe even you attach something down from this rectangle bead frame, or maybe they'll stay as post earrings with nothing else on them. Even if you get a pair of earrings, I dug these out of the jewelry box, something like this, where the post was designed. Keep in mind, many designers, costume jewelry makers, or jewelers will actually get things that are to their specifications. So if you're looking for an exact post or an exact ear wire, keep in mind they may have pretty much the kind of set pattern on it, and it's not available to the general public. So this dogwood flower, you may have seen something close to it. Chances are, if it's something that is close to it, not the exact same, it was made for a designer or for a jewelry artist or something, or by an actual silver or goldsmith. You can often get close to designs, but sometimes you can't find the exact designs. That being said, the ball posts and the posts are going to come in all different finishes and all different metals, all different colors, and basically all different lengths. Most of them are going to have about a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch post in the back. Sometimes they'll have this little ridge on them here, and that little ridge, which can be a little bit hard to see, will actually help to keep that ear nut or the rubber backing or the post back on the actual piece, and that way it's kind of an added protection. Even when you're not using posts, I do recommend getting the rubber stoppers or the earring stoppers or the earring backs to put on, even if you're working with a dangle earring. Again, these posts come in all different sizes, all different metals, all different things, whether or not you're decorating them or keeping them simple as is. That's going to be the post earring. In addition to the post earring, moving these aside, you have the next classic, which is going to be the fishhook. Whether or not you have the fishhook like this one here with a coil and ball design, a fishhook that is simple, like on this kind of Art Deco-y fanfare earring, or a fishhook that has a fancy flower and then a loop to attach to it, or a really, really long one, or a really short one, or again, these stainless steel. The fishhook earrings are probably the most popular in earring design. The reason is because they're pretty easy to make. You can make them simply, and I've done another Better Beader on that, making your own findings. But it's just the loop that's going through the ear and then generally something hanging down. You can make them yourselves, you can link on jewelry and earrings, but most of the time the earrings that are sold or the earrings that are available are going to have these little fish hook earrings. They're the easiest to attach, the easiest to apply, and they go through most everybody's ears. They often are able to be bent, open, and closed, and as I push them in my ear, I tend to close them up. Again, use that rubber stopper on the back if you do not want to lose one of your earrings. We have a whole collection, even all 3 of these, that they have lost their mate somewhere in the warehouse here, and they are now singles that I'm using for this Better Beader. So lesson learned, go ahead and attach the actual rubber backings to your earrings when you are wearing them. So these are examples of simple fish hooks. They often hang really, really nicely and easily in the ear, and because they can kind of move and go different directions, it makes it really adaptable to any sort of design and to anybody's ear. Because let's face it, some of us are going to have thicker ears, some of us are going to have thinner ears. Sometimes the drop is going to be lower, the hole is going to be pulled down, it's going to be higher up. You want to wear it in a second hole. So think about these things when you are selecting and deciding what type of ear wire to wear. In addition to these, we have our leverbacks. So leverback earrings and kidney backs, which aren't to be confused with leverbacks, are going to be a little bit different in style. I even have some leverbacks here that are clip-on earrings. The leverbacks are called leverbacks because they have that spring backing to them. So when you open them up here, they have a little spring mechanism that is usually attached here that is going to keep it from opening and closing and putting back. These sterling silver ones that I grabbed are interchangeable, as well as the hoops here. You can add and take off any design that you want. So if you have a little earring sitting here, you can slide on whatever you want to wear for the day. It'll hang down and dangle from the interchangeable lever, and then you take it off and you can wear another pair. I use these a lot when I travel because then I only need to take a couple dangles and 1 pair or 2 pair of ear wire. Whether or not you have them rounded out or kind of that classic style, if they have a design to the front like a fleur-de-lis, that's kind of up to you. This design here even has a place for you to glue in a Rivoli, but still with that lever back backing with them. So that's going to be the lever back. Not to be confused, again, with the kidney back. So the kidney ear wire, whether it's long or short, this one is a long one. It's going to have just kind of the wire that springs back in place and has a little fold to the back. The loop here is where your earring is going to hang, and I actually really love these. These are, I think, 2-inch, 25 millimeters. And they hang down so they make more of a statement, kind of dropping a little bit lower on the neck. You can have these be really, really short. When they are short and tiny, I find it hard to get them in and out of the ear and make sure that they are clipped correctly. So keep that in mind if you are getting the kidney back. Because the kidney back usually are pretty inexpensive, so they're a good option. But I find that the regular French wires or ear wires or fish hooks are going to be the easiest to actually put on and off. Like I said again, you also have some clip-on earrings that are going to be like these. These are lever-back clip-ons that they open and close. They still have the dangle down to them. You're also going to have a post-style clip-on. So this is a post-style clip-on that's going to go right into the ear and has a little padded post. Now, of course, you'll have an endless supply of hoops, and whether or not they're post hoops or they go through the ear or they sit kind of these little channel ones here that you can add seed beads to. There's tons and tons of different styles of ear wires. Remember, when you're looking at ear wires, you're looking for options. Think about who is the end user, how are they going to wear them, and what design are you making with them? Do you want something that is sterling silver and can easily be changed out? Do you need something that's going to stay stable? Do you want something fun and funky that also has the rose that adds maybe to a little gemstone? That's going to be how you determine what style of earring you want. When it comes to wedding jewelry, things that people are dancing around, people are moving around, I often will recommend a lever-back earring to them. If they have trouble getting that off and on, make sure you are giving them the little rubber back so they do not lose the earring. You'll be amazed if you sell jewelry how many people will come to you if you don't do that and ask you for another pair of rubber backs or one earring. Can you remake it because they lost the other? Now that we're done talking about ear wires, we are going to go on to head pins, or the things that hang down from them. There are multitudes of times that you don't actually use a head pin in an earring. I have a necklace on here with a simple little chain. I'll bring back up here so you can see. It's just a clear bead that hangs down from the necklace. Sometimes I'll drop a beaded bead down and have it be the stopper, but it's just a cool clear crystal quartz. This is on a ball pin, a head pin that has a little ball at the end and then goes straight through. Now there's different gauges when it comes to head pins and ear wires, honestly, but head pins you recognize it more. This is a decorative pin that I have on my necklace, which is going to have a little ball at the end. Whether or not the ball is 1 inch or 2 inches or 3 inches long, it doesn't really matter. That's going to be what stops it. Regular head pins are just going to have a little padded post right at the bottom that is going to stop beads from going through. Head pins are going to come in, obviously, just like ear wires, different styles, as well as different gauges. The gauge is going to refer to how thick the actual wire is. When you're looking at most head pins, you're going to get a variety from, say, 24, 26 gauge up to 20. It is rare to find a head pin that is thicker than 20. You want to use a thicker head pin with something like this necklace here that is going to be a little bit more kind of heavy, dramatic, that sort of thing. If you're doing something that's really, really tiny, little fine crystals hanging down, say in this loop, you may want to use a smaller head pin. If you have a head pin that the head is not actually stopping the bead and it's going right through the bottom, a good option to do there is add a little seed bead, like a 15-0 seed bead or an 11-0, or change up the design a little bit to add a crystal. Sometimes gemstones, or especially glass stones, can have big holes that are going to go through the actual head pin when you're looking at it. So what type of head pin should you buy for what products and what projects? So if you're keeping in mind you want to do a nice simple earring, or even the design necklace that I have on, this would have looked great in addition to that little ball post, to having a designed head pin as well. So the ball post, or the ball pin, refers to a head pin with a actual ball on the bottom. This here is a gunmetal 3-inch head pin. Why would you use 3 inches? Because you need something that's a little bit longer, especially if you want to do a coiled eye pin or a coiled loop at the top. Something like this Santa, I'm going to need obviously longer than an inch head pin, and looking more at 2 inches because of the length. When you're looking at something smaller, like that little head pin, you can get away with a 1-inch head pin. So the head pins, in addition to that gauges, are going to come in lengths. Everything again from that 1/2 inch up to about 3 inches is kind of the max. Every once in a while you'll see a 4-inch head pin, but they start to get really, really bendy. And in that case, grab some metal and make your own out of about 18 gauge. Most head pins are going to be 22 gauge, 22 or 21 gauge. They're going to be easy enough to take your pliers and bend, but not so easy to get that bend out. This is going to prevent them when you're making an eye pin, which you want to do with a round nose pliers, and when you're making a loop on the head pin, it's going to prevent it from kind of opening up as you're working with it. That way when you attach your ear wire to your head pin, you're not going to have the chance that it slips through. Some cases you will need to use thinner head pins. If you have some high-end gemstones or tiny little beads, they will not go through often that 22, 21 gauge. So you will need to downgrade to, say, a 24. Even some of the smaller beads, if you're doing freshwater pearls, you may need 26 gauge head pins, which are going to be really, really flexible. And anytime you use those, you are going to want to make sure to coil at the top, wrapping the wire around itself so that way it does not open up. The thinner the head pin, the more likely it is that that top will open up. So you're going to want to watch some other videos on creating kind of the perfect coiled eye pin. The eye pin refers to the top of the actual head pin where it's attaching to your ear wire. Again, a number of different ways to do this and ear wires to attach to. There's also eye pins that are for sale. In thinner gauges, they're going to have an eye pin on one side and open on the other. I honestly say make your own. It's not worth it, and you can invest in just some plain wire and make those eye pins with the round nose pliers, not having to work with them. So there's different decorative head pins, there's different decorative posts. Sometimes you will not know exactly what size wire or gauge your beads that you're using will fit on. In that case, have a couple different sizes handy. 26 gauge is rare that you will need to use. 24 gauge definitely have on hand, as well as that 22, 21, which you're most likely going to use. When you get them in craft stores, a lot of times they are brittle, they're not a great material, and you don't have an idea as far as what the actual gauge or the measurement is because it's not listed. Keep that in mind as you're creating and as you're working with head pins, not to get frustrated and not to get annoyed. What is the most common size is going to be a 22 gauge 2-inch head pin. A lot of times that's what's going to come, or 21 gauge. You really have a hard time telling the difference in those. That's what's going to come in a lot of bulk head pin packages if you are purchasing them. More so important than the head pin is definitely the ear wire and how it's going into the ear. The head pin may not matter to you. You just need to make sure that it's not slipping out the bottom there of your bead. If you do have a nice bead with a big hole, you may want to check out some of those decorative eye pins or head pins and look at those options to use at the bottom. Otherwise, just add a little crystal or a little seed bead, which will help from the beads escaping off of your head pin, which can happen. If you've noticed that the head pin is getting a little bit bent, it's probably something that's thin. And sometimes you can even go in and look at the gauge and the head pin size, and it will list the actual size of the head of the eye pin. Again, I just keep some 15-0 seed beads and 11-0 seed beads available in both the gold and the silver, and that way it just makes it look like a ball pin for a lot less money. If you do need any head pins or ear wires of any kind, we are happy to help you at PotomacBeads.com and PotomacBeads.eu. We'll put links below me in the video to purchase from us online some of those different product categories that we talked about. Keep in mind you can give a little thumbs up, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and comment below telling exactly what your favorite styles and your favorite gauges are to use. As always, from us here at Potomac Beads, thanks so much for watching and enjoy this Better Beader episode. Hopefully it helped you get a little bit more knowledge about ear wires and head pins.